I guess it's 9, so we can call the meeting to order. Joe gets here. He gets here. Doug did email me that he was going to be excused. Joe said he'd be here, so Roxanne emailed me, said she wasn't going to make it. Sylvia here. Sam's here. I'm here. Amanda's here. Lynn here. Oakley's here, and Adam here. All right. Public comment and communications. I did not have any public comment or communications. Right. Yeah. Sorry. I told them you were going to be here, so checked in. Anybody else? Any communications? Public comment? No. We need a motion from the November 16th, 2023 meeting to approve the minutes. Motion by Joe. Second by Amanda. All those in favor? 3, council membership. I'm not exactly sure why Jean had that on there.
Evan, I think the reason is because I'll be leaving January 3rd. And so you're going to need a treasurer for land information. So we'll probably have to select somebody.
And we'll need a treasurer, and we'll also need a or vice chair, because I believe Janet was the vice chair. So we can probably select somebody now for in the future on those 2.
That's what I would do, because I don't think we'll have another meeting now until by the end of the year. So I think it would be good to do that today.
Anybody chomping at the bit to be the treasurer on this?
I'm willing to move with Carrie and then to be the treasurer.
Okay, I was kind of looking your direction too. All right. So we probably need somebody to nominate.
I'll nominate.
Joe nominate Sylvia.
I'll second.
Lynn second. Are there any? We got to go through any other nominations, right? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? So we'll need a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Sylvia. Motion by Joe.
I'll second.
Second by Lynn. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we will also need a vice chair.
I'll nominate Amanda.
I'll nominate Joe.
So then we have to do ballots now?
Does anybody over there want to do it?
We already got an officer on our side of the rooms. Oh, I guess you do
Unless
too.
you want to decline the nomination.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You just can't be gone. I'll do it.
If I leave,
It's
okay.
fine. I'll withdraw my nomination of Joe.
All right. So we'll need a motion to close. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay. So we'll need a motion to close the nomination or close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Amanda. Joe made the motion. Second by Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carried. Finance report.
Okay. This should be a fun one this time, and I think Carrie's going to be talking to us on it too. If you notice on your finance report, over COVID, we were getting a lot of real estate transfer funds in because property was selling. So we were, spending money and using it towards certain things like our software maintenance, things like that. But since in the past year or so, the amount of revenue coming in from real estate transfers is less, and we still have our spending kind of at the same, for the same things. And you will notice, I think the finance report went out, and on the right side, like if you look under software maintenance, the $24,753 consists partially of the Bayfield, what we pay Bayfield County to maintain our Novus system, basically for Oakley and I. And then Esri, which is I think that's what, like a mapping. So that's maintenance on that. And then Fiddler is what Sylvia uses, comes out of that account. So for next year, what we did, because you will notice our profit and loss through this, we're at a huge loss. So what's happening is the grants are kind of covering those costs, even though the grants shouldn't be. So for next,
They still can. Grants can cover.
even though you
Software
have it specifically though for the aerial, I mean, it's eating into the, things that
it
shouldn't.
shouldn't cover costs with stuff you don't apply for, but I do always apply for some, but we'll just have to
Right.
apply for more in the future on the software maintenance out of the grants, which eats into our PLSS funding.
well, we met with Carrie. Carrie met with you too, right, Sylvia? So for the Bayfield part, I believe it'll be, I know half of that cost is coming out of my budget for next year, and I believe it's what, the other half out of RPL? Is that what we?
No,
No,
our
am I-
register of deeds.
Register of deeds, okay. And then same with the All Shore down below, the 7,600, because All Shore, again, is the Novus program. We're splitting that, no, we're not splitting that cost. It's only the Bayfield one. Okay, that's better than I thought, sorry. Monday mornings are hard for this. And I'm not sure what's Fiddler and Esri is coming out of RODs then for next year?
No, it's staying there.
It's staying there. So the Bayfield one is the only one where,
Mhm.
okay. So we're trying to figure out where we can shift things so that we stay in the black instead of the red.
Can I?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Carrie.
So this year, though, because we are, so first of all, as you're looking at this, because this is new for you guys to look at. So the line going across the upper half of this would be, so your income coming in for your recording fees, like Lynn was saying, it should cover all the expenses that are listed there. So your capital outlay, your $8 expense, and your software maintenance is where most of your stuff, your expenses are. With that said, as Lynn explained, Bayfield will be split next year, but the others will not, we don't have another home for them. So they're going to continue coming out of here, which you're always going to be then in the negative. And if Evan is correct, if there is something that you can write for grants, then you'll have to let Sylvia know where you want, what grants that these items could be posted to. So then they're not in the upper half, then they'll be posted down in the bottom half to the specific grants that you want her to post them to. So that's what the bottom half is for grants. But this year, what I'm talking with Nick, we had to allocate some spending to ARPA. So what we're going to do is you will see a journal entry removing some expenses from here. So at the end of this year, you're going to be better than what you're looking at right now. We are going to move the All Shore out of this year and the Fiddler. So the 9120, because that's what All Shore will cost you for the full year. And the Fiddler of the 11,250 will be moved out of here and be applied to ARPA funds. We'll cover it this for 2024, which then your fund balance in the end, right now, your fund balance shows at a 34,483. Your fund balance will then be 54,853. So you'll have a loss up in the top of 6,000 going with these numbers if there's nothing else coming ahead. And your revenue. And then the other thing is on the back side, we will keep track of what each grant balances are so that you know the 2023 strategic, the education grant. So that list will then keep growing each time you get grants. And if something's not spent down, you'll see that. And I will help Sylvia with this so that she will have so it will always match with the system so that you know right away.
And talking about grants, so, we can talk about that later in the 2025 WLIP grant line item, but I always do write some software and hardware into the grant depending on what's allotted, and we can figure out in the future. This year we're a little tight because of the aerial imagery project, but in the future we can we can write more software. And really the $8 recording fee should be, it shouldn't matter if that goes up and down budget wise, because our base budget grant is based off of that recording fee. So we get $100,000 regardless of how much we bring in. So if we bring in 30,000, then our base budget grant, we can write the following year 70. If we bring in 40,000, the base budget, we can write the following year 60. So it kind of is a moot point actually how much we bring in, because the base budget makes up the difference. You know, the only time it makes a difference is the counties that receive over $100,000 in recording fees. But they don't get anything for a base budget grant.
So then the base budget grant can that be used for these?
Correct, yes. We
Okay.
just have to write that in the grant application.
I think that was just not understood. Okay.
Yeah, I had it marked down for the PLSS because I.
That's where we allocate, when we write the grants, we write it for that.
Okay.
Even though.
I think what happened was in the past, there weren't so many software expenses. Software expenses have just gone up exponentially over the past 10 years, so.
Right.
And hopefully, you know, that 11,250 for Fiddler, that's still part of that initial cost of our new land record system. So I
Mhm.
think we're on a 5-year plan. So I think we've got just, you know, we went with that in 2022.
Yep.
So
And
that,
we can tweak some of the numbers on this 2025 grant application. I've got a preliminary in,
Okay.
and I sent it out in an email, and or Gene actually sent it out. So we can tweak some of the numbers, some of them we can't because of the aerial imagery project, but so anyway, got that. Sounds like we got a good path going forward for that. All right. 2025 to 2027 land info plan. That was sent out in the email Gene sent out as well. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look through it. Every 3 years, we have to update our land info plan, which I did a couple months ago. I did get input from Sam on where we are on PLSS corners, so I could try and input some of that. I know our draft plan that I had sent to the state. Peter had a few questions and comments, so I might need to tweak some of the draft plan after the meeting today. But basically, I wrote, the biggest thing is for future grant projects is the PLSS corners. That's where the majority of our grant money moving forward is going to go. Every few years, every 5 years, I believe, we want to get new aerial imagery. So 3 out of the 5, it takes 2 years basically to pay for aerial imagery. So I write grant applications for, last year we allocated a bunch of money towards this year's aerial imagery project, and then a lot of this year's money is going to go towards it. So then we'll have 3 years where we don't have a imagery project. So the vast majority of the money then will go to PLSS. So I don't know if anybody's got any comments on it. We looked through it. Otherwise, we would need a motion to approve it as is and forward it to the state. The 5 projects that I had put on there, actually 6 projects. Project number 1 is a PLSS project. Project number 2, county surveying. That includes some forestry county surveying that we may have. Project number 3, land records, hardware and software upgrades. Project number 4, web mapping. That's basically our GIS site. Project number 5, maintain and update tax assessment software. And project number 6 is the aerial imagery. And then the last page, you'll see I've got kind of the estimated budget, and that's really estimated because we don't know what we're going to get for base budget, and we don't know what we're going to get for strategic initiative. Strategic initiative has varied over the past 10 years a lot. Last year was 10,000, this year it's 20. At one time it was 70, and that's based on statewide recording fees. So the amount of statewide recording fees that go out, that we bring in, there's a retained portion that the state gets. So those huge counties that get a ton of money, they pay a lot to the state. and then they reallocate that to other counties under the strategic initiative. So, and that one has to either go towards the PLSS corners, well, up to benchmark 4, which that's where we're at right now in the state's 4 benchmarks, and that's PLSS corners for us right now. Or you can write a waiver and have it go towards an aerial imagery or LiDAR project. That one's pretty pigeonholed on where you can go with it.
Evan, the only change I would have is where you list who's on the group. I'm thinking for 2025, you should remove my name and put Renee Leinfelder in there.
Okay,
I mean, to be accurate.
do
For-
that. Yeah, that lists the plan work group. So
Mhm.
that's really who was on the council when the plan was written.
Oh, okay, okay, I thought maybe it was
I
for
know-
what's
not
going.
that we
Okay,
officially
then it's
had a
fine.
work group to do
Okay.
it, but this is kind of the way.
I'll make.
We got a motion by Amanda to approve the plan. Second by Joe. All those in favor? Motion carried. 2024 grant application, actually, and that should be 2025 grant application. That was also sent out. And what I've got written into that, and that's where we can tweak a little bit to try and make up some of those software costs here. Training and education, $1,000, that we can't change. That we get $1,000 to send people to conferences, meetings, mileage, whatever, any type of training for land info every year, we get $1,000 from the state. Strategic initiative, we were eligible for $20,000 this year. All the counties in the state were. We plan to allocate all of that towards the aerial imagery project. Base budget, we were eligible for $71,632. We need 44,585 of that to go towards aerial imagery. That should be the base of that aerial imagery project, and with the 20,000 from strategic initiative and that 44, and then the 2024 grant money that we allocated towards that, that should cover the entire project, plus all the grants we got aside from this one. Software, I wrote 7,000. Hardware, 5,000. That covers printers, computers, scanners, and then contract PLSS surveying was 15,047. So those are the ones where we could tweak to make up more in software. We could lower the hardware down to 2,000, and that put us at 10,000 for the software. And we could take that. It's nice to have some surveying money in there. Covers some of the bounties, covers some forestry projects that may come up where they need to get some corners. But we could reduce that to get more money into the software. We always have some software expenses. We cover Esri software for departments. We cover, I know our Carmody software comes out of one of these grants. So I guess I'd be looking at a recommendation to where to move some money around within this grant. And to be honest, if we get the grant and we do need to expense things out of different line items than what it was written for, we haven't had an issue in the past doing that. But we might as well change it up front if we think we're gonna spend money differently. Anybody have any ideas for tweaking it? I mean, we could certainly take 5,000 out of the surveying and 3,000 out of the hardware. That put us at 15 in that software. Would that help us out a lot? Make numbers on your end easier? So then the numbers, we'd have that we'd apply for $1,000 out of the training fund, 20,000 for strategic initiative, allocated to the aerial imagery project, 44,585 out of the base budget grant for aerial imagery, 15,000 out of the base budget for software, 2,000 out of the base budget for hardware, and $10,047 out of the base budget for PLSS surveying. And I can get those numbers to you in the minute for the minutes later if need be. So we would need a motion to approve that 2025 WLIP grant application.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Joanne.
second.
Second by Sylvia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next Gen 911 grant application. So this, with the help from AIRS, we wrote a Next Gen 911 grant application to take our aerial imagery project and go from a 6-inch resolution down to a 3-inch. We were approved by the state here a couple weeks ago. And we got that grant application, so that'll be, I guess that'll move our aerial imagery from 6-inch resolution down to 3, which would be really, really nice. They'll fly that next spring. We might have a couple $1,000 match on that coming out of our funds, but it's definitely worth it. We got the state's end that they're paying is $127,254.40 towards upgrading our aerial imagery. I guess that's more of an update than, I don't know if we need a motion to accept that grant. I already signed it. No. No.
It's been applied for.
It's been applied for, received, yeah.
I wouldn't
So, yeah, so we got $127,000 in change for upgrading our aerial imagery. And that'll be next spring. The total cost for that 3-inch aerial imagery project is $231,840. And 133 of that is coming from the state. And then we possibly could get a check back from AIRS after the project. Adam from AIRS works with a bunch of the Price Electric and US Forest Service and tries to partner with them and get some partner matching funds. And if he gets those, that comes off the cost of the total bill. So we possibly could get some more money back once that project is done, but I'm not sure if that'll happen. So anyway, 2025 ortho imagery. I guess we kind of covered that with that Next Gen 911 project. It's planned, it'll be flown probably next April, May, somewhere in there between snowmelt and leaf on. They will fly. And like I said, it'll be 3-inch resolution. I would guess it'll be August, September by the time we get the product delivered back to us. Next item, PLSS bounty program. Now, this is a Sam thing here.
Yeah, so I took what Al had did and just having a one price basically for the pay structure kind of followed a couple other counties where it would be, we'd be upping it a little bit. And then as it gets more involved, the corner is more involved, the price will go up even more. Price, right now, we do $200 a corner or a tie sheet. So all the criteria would remain the same, except for like, to get coordinates on ones that we already have old tie sheets for, you do 250. If we reestablish the corner monument or any of the witness monuments would be 300. And then if it's a lost corner where we have no information on it, it would be up to $500.
Which is still definitely a steal versus us contracting with a surveyor to do a PLSS corner
Yeah.
out of the contract work. I mean, it's still much cheaper to pay a bounty than it would be for us to contract with a surveyor to go out and establish a bunch of corners. Yeah.
And I think I have to chase a lot of guys down, and I think it's because of the price that we're at. I have to call them and email them and remind them, hey, you have to turn in tie sheets and drag their feet. Or hopefully this would be, and we'd be getting more, possibly have the opportunity to get more coordinates on stuff that we don't have. You know, that's the first level, which obviously will go into the GIS stuff and straighten that out.
And we're talking, like we had talked about, we're talking 10 to 20 a year. So it's not a significant amount of money we're looking at increasing it.
What's the law on that? Are they supposed to record? Is that what it's supposed to be or?
Yes. So I usually have to threaten them with the state statute to do this. And Al was really good at asking him once and then not following up a whole lot of it.
So we'd be looking for a motion then to approve the new corner bounty,
Program, yeah.
PLSS corner bounty program. As presented, and then you want to just send a copy of that to.
Yeah, I have copies here. I can email them out.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Amanda. And this money will come out of that 10,000 that we have towards the grant. It'll come out of our base budget grant is where the money would come out of for the bounties. Second by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Plat books, we've got mailing costs and the next edition to cover here.
Sure. So I can talk on the mailing costs. Of course, postage has significantly increased. So right now, we're eating a small amount of the cost. We charge $5 to mail a plat book, and right now with the envelope and postage, it costs us $6.80. So we don't mail a lot of plat books, and I can't remember if my office or Land Info covers the envelopes. I want to say maybe ROD covers the cost of the envelopes. And I probably ordered them once in the last 4 or 5 years. So I don't know what the committee's suggestion would be on that postage, but it is $6.80 to now mail with the envelope and $5.38 for postage. So if you want to go up to $6 from $5 or
$10.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
not unreasonable, no.
That's a drive into town.
yeah. Like I said, we don't mail a lot. Most of them are from people that are, out of town who can't get to where our plat books are in Price County. So,
Yeah, I would go to $10.
okay.
So that,
And then also, when would you like that $10 to start? First of the year?
I'd say after the motion's made here to
Okay,
increase mailing
effective
costs.
immediately?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to make a motion to increase mailing costs on plat books to $10?
Is there anything else that we need to do? I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Joe, second by Lynn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. All right, and then next plat book.
So traditionally, I think we did one 4 years. 2018 was our last one. So with Janet retiring, the mapping, GIS mapping is now given to MyTech. So that GIS mapping for the plat books is no longer really in-house because it was on a separate kind of a standalone program. So I'm not sure what the committee's thoughts are on future editions, or I know Rockford Maps produces plat books throughout the entire state. Theirs are a little bit different, where that right side of the page is a copy of the aerial photograph of the section, where ours was always the fire number listings. They are more expensive to go with Rockford Maps, but I'm not sure what our capabilities will be to actually produce a plat book going forward.
Without spending a lot on having MyTech do all
Right.
of it.
And if our
That's-
costs are gonna exceed what Rockford Map is already producing. So I think Price County's been producing a plat book since, is it 1991? Does that sound about right? 91? Their own plat book.
But our sales have really,
Yeah,
I mean, with Onyx and better cell service and GIS, I can't
Right.
imagine there's a lot of people buying plat books right now.
no, I mean, I think our last order, when we ordered those books in 2022, we ordered a significantly less amount. And
Mhm.
I think we have probably 50 books left, but it'll probably take some time to get rid of those.
So I guess we'll have to look at it
Yep.
on an as needed basis in the future. I don't
Yeah.
picture us doing a plat book order the next year.
No,
I really don't.
just something to think about.
Okay. Okay, so next meeting date's the last thing. I guess we always do it at an as needed basis. As you can see, last year we met this time last year, so unless we have something come up, I don't picture us meeting anytime in the near future. Anybody else has any questions or concerns or need to meet sooner? All right, and with that, I think we can adjourn the meeting at 9:34-ish.